podcast.
Hey, man. Go
Come
podcast.
on, man. Oh, between you and me.
Between you and me.
Yeah, yes. So this week we're going to talk about something. Hopefully, it's going to be organic. I just threw a topic out to T, and I said I wanted to discuss it, and he wanted to kind of lay the groundwork for it. And I can't really lay the groundwork for it, so we're just going to dive in. So y'all going to just take a ride, take a trip with us.
And by laying the groundwork, he means I was trying to brainstorm to see where this gonna go. And he said, just vibe with me for a second. So we're about to see what happens.
Yes. So here's the deal. So we're actually back from a trip. Took a trip to Georgia to spend some time with the parent. And it's been a combination of my daily meditations and some thoughts that have been going through my mind and some things that have been happening. And the word that came to mind was dependability.
Dependability. All
And
right.
yeah, and so I was telling T I want to talk about dependability, and I couldn't even quite characterize. I threw some stuff across the fence to him earlier in the week to talk about influence, and I really don't know how I want to get to the crux of the matter, but I just want to just have a conversation around dependability. But before I dive into it, I want to use a quote that I use often as it pertains to dependability so that I can help frame it.
All
So
right.
I always tell you, T, that what is the saying? It's your perception is my reality,
Right.
right? Your perception is my matter of fact, you just tried to use that on me the other day.
It worked. I ain't try.
Whatever, man.
Go
Your
ahead.
perception is my reality. And so the way I see dependability is your perception is my reality. And so I can't tell you or tell anybody for that matter, I'm dependable. Okay? Does that make sense?
Somebody has to feel you're dependable. Like they have to see that in you.
Right. They have to see that in you. They have to feel like you're dependable. They have to feel like they can depend on you. Because you can feel like you're dependable and you can scream all day long that, oh, I'm dependable.
But if they don't feel that way, then it doesn't matter.
If they don't feel that way, it doesn't matter. And it's interesting. I'm gonna bring this up, and it didn't work out badly, but I'm just gonna bring it up anyway. So because I was thinking about it a lot this morning, because we were gonna hit the road this morning to drive, and when I got up at 7 something, you were up.
Yeah.
And my question to you was, what time did you get up? And your answer was, what was your answer?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, I mean, shoot.
I ain't gonna hold you. It ain't go like that.
It didn't. How did it go?
So I don't even remember exactly what was happening. You got up, I was watching a movie. Movie was fire, but I ain't gonna plug it.
But you know what? That's probably why you ain't paying me no attention, because you was watching the movie. But that's okay. Movie was fire. You ain't gonna plug it. Go ahead.
But he was like, what? I can't even remember what you asked me at first.
What you doing
But
up?
then eventually it just got to, did you sleep? Or did you go to sleep? Something like that.
Yeah, you said I ain't been
I
to
said,
sleep.
No, I haven't been to sleep.
I haven't been to sleep. And so when I look at it from that perspective, I'm thinking, man, I'm about to hit the road. I'm about to do these 8 hours, and I got a co-pilot, right? And then you say you didn't sleep. Now, to your credit, you offered to drive.
I did.
You offered to drive on the first leg.
Right.
You got in the car with sleep, but you offered to drive on the first leg.
Look, the reason I went to sleep, I offered to drive on the first leg, and he told me no. He said, I don't want you behind my wheel.
There you go. Like so that was the crux. That's it. That was the crux. Because
you ain't trust me.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. That's where that whole
but I mean, I only slept for like an hour.
No, you didn't do bad. You didn't do bad at all. Honestly, you didn't. So that's not even the matter. The matter is you didn't do bad. But the thing is, like,
that was the crux.
That was the crux.
Okay.
That was the crux. So when you start talking about dependability, like somebody has to feel like they can depend on you, right? Somebody has, and what was the thing I told you to read, and you read it?
What thing you sent to me?
Yeah, the thing I sent to you.
Let me pull it up. It was about Joseph.
It's about Joseph,
I believe.
right?
Yes, Joseph. It says Joseph's story teaches to become an influencer, build a reputation for trustworthiness.
There you go.
Influence will come as people trust you.
There you go. That's what I was thinking of. It was like not necessarily about the influence part, but the trustworthiness. You have to build, So for me, for me, in order for me to feel like I can depend on you, it has to be built in that you're trustworthy. And that's for anybody. This is not me talking to you, T. but that's for anybody. And so the question is, how do you get to a place where people can depend on you or people feel like they can depend on you? Because you have all control over that perception. You just can't determine it, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're building up something, you have no control over when that buildup is achieved or when that dependability moniker is laid on you. But you have everything to do with it being laid on you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You asking me?
Yes. Yes. So,
So-
how do you do that? What do you think can be done?
So first, I'll start off by speaking for myself.
There you go.
Speaking for myself, I typically don't. Well, like there's levels to this, of course, but I don't typically give somebody like my full trust until I see them put something on the line.
What does that mean?
So as we often say, as we often quote, integrity is what is integrity?
What you're doing with nobody but God can see you.
What you doing with nobody?
Integrity is truth stands no matter the circumstance.
Oh, you let me. Okay.
Yeah.
So what we typically say is integrity is being a man of your word, even if it costs you personally.
Yes, sir.
We say that other stuff too, but that's the specific thing I was talking about. And so it's the even if it costs you personally part.
Mhm.
Is when you see that in spite of maybe things didn't go as planned or something became more difficult, in spite of the situation, somebody's still a person of their word. They're still about their word. And that's a moment when you really would receive trust from me.
Okay.
Because I see that you hold yourself to a standard of being, of having integrity and being trustworthy.
Okay. Got it. I see that.
And so I would say that that universal principle that crosses over is integrity. People have to see your integrity.
Okay.
If people can see your integrity, and which this is one way. If people can see your integrity, then I feel like it makes you a greater contender of someone to be trusted.
Okay.
Or to be trusted in.
And then if you can be trusted, somebody can depend on you.
Right.
Okay.
And then I would say another thing is a commonality of what's the word? A commonality of pursuit, a commonality of passion. But basically, you're both you're invested in the same thing as someone.
Okay. I got you.
Almost like a communal investment.
Uh-huh.
So, like, say we are working together on a project, and we both can see the passion and drive in the other person to really complete the project. That builds a bond and a trust between the two of us.
That's a good one because we're gonna talk about a project in a minute. So yeah. All right. That's cool.
All right.
I got that.
Those are the two immediate things that popped in my head. Those are two different ways.
Okay.
One's more like logic, one's more emotion almost.
Okay. So I'm good with that. So you brought up project, and we're gonna talk about a project, and we're gonna talk about project and dependability, and then the third thing, or the thing that you threw in my lap earlier, we were talking about this about like what was
We'll
it?
get to.
Okay. I mean, but it's finna
You want to lay it out?
Yeah, it's finna come up now.
Okay. Well, I was just talking about basically leading by example.
Leading by example. Yes.
Right.
Okay. So here's this. So when we were in when we were on travel, you know, and we with my parents, T and I undertook a project.
Yes.
We undertook a project. It was interesting because it was a first time project, and I will tell you from this perspective. And I mean, I'll just go ahead and lay it out there. So I've made a commitment to going down every 6 weeks or so to spend time with my parents, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I just go down and I'm like, whatever project you have, you know, lay them, you know, put them together. When I get there, I'll work on it. And so that's something that I've endeavored to do. And it's something I've endeavored to do lately. It's not something that I've always done. It's not something that I ever even thought about always doing, which is one of the reasons why this whole dependability thing is shaking me. And so we got there, and there was a project that somebody else had started.
Mm-hmm.
They attempted to start, I guess.
Yeah,
they attempted to start, and it wasn't. I mean, you know, and they hadn't been back for a couple of weeks to finish it, and that was a chicken coop.
right.
And so I saw the chicken coop out there, I saw the raw materials there for the chicken coop. But I'm not a chicken coop builder. Like I'm not like I don't work with my hands like that.
Mhm.
But I saw it was something that needed to be done. And so I talked to T and I was like, all right, dude, we're gonna go out here and we're gonna spend some time and we're gonna build this chicken coop.
Yeah.
And so we went out there and it took us between, what we had to do working in school. Um
Yeah.
it took us a solid day and a half. I well, not even a solid day and a half,
Not
but
even
it
a
took
solid day and a half.
yeah,
Like it took a day and a half
it
as
took a day
far
and a half.
as big timeline, but I mean it took us about 6, 7, probably about 7, 8 hours.
Man, shit, that's a day and a half, you ask me. But anyway, yeah.
Well, I
So
mean,
it took some time, right? Because honestly, it was two things. First of all, it
it
was
was
outside of my
foreign.
scope, huh?
Yeah, I was gonna say it was foreign to
Yeah, it
us.
was foreign to us. It was outside of our scope. The second thing was it's nothing like having the right tool.
Oh yeah,
And and it's
definitely.
not like the tools that were needed by somebody else to do the job weren't there. Because
Right.
I imagine they were. It was because it was foreign to me. I needed certain tools that I was familiar with to get the job done. And so, like a lot of and my dad looked at me like I was crazy because a lot of places where they would use nails, I use screws,
Right.
right? Because I mean, screws was just it made it easier for me. I could get it done with because I mean, for some reason I couldn't hammer straight. My nails kept bending, so I'm like,
Uh-huh.
I'm going to get some screws. Man, I know how to screw, right? And so, I mean, I know how to use I know how to use a drill. So anyway, so T, my dad and I got out there, and over about 8 hours, man, we tired my dad out. Really, we did. But we built the chicken coop.
Should we tired ourselves
Yeah,
out
we
too?
did tire ourselves. I mean, I swear, man, my back and my knees and everything else was aching, but it
Even
was
my
good.
back was hurting.
It was good. It was good. I mean, and then um the finished product was so good because like it was like we got the roof on that bad boy, and my dad snipped the wire, snip, snip, snip. T dug up some stuff, make sure the chickens weren't hurt. And then, one by one, the chickens start migrating from their old coop into the new coop. And so, man, it was like surreal because it was like, man,
You saw it being put into action
yeah, yeah, we saw
almost.
it being put in action, being put to use.
Right.
And my dad was so appreciative, right? And that appreciation went further than just appreciation for me. It went into dependability.
Mm-hmm.
Like my son ain't gonna leave me hanging.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because we could have easily went there, did our whatever did stuff
Right.
inside the house or whatever because we did do some stuff inside the house as well.
It wasn't something that we were asked to do or required to do,
Right.
or something that we had even agreed to do. It was just kind of something that you chose to do.
Right. I chose to do it. I chose to ask you to help me. You came in and you helped me. And to me, that gave my dad a sense of, wow, I can depend on my son.
Right.
And so that was what was the cool thing about it. Yes, I'm saying?
Oh no, no, I
Okay,
was
yeah,
listening to you.
that was the cool thing about it. It was like so when I asked myself how to or ask how you build dependability, like it's also about seeing a need and feeling the need without being asked. And
Right.
not just once, but consistent.
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm saying? And so like if I talk about the fact that we just go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I mean, honestly, putting it in that terms, it seems like it's just a character thing as a whole. When
Yes, it
people feel
is.
like they can trust your character,
Yes, it is.
then they feel like they can trust you.
Yes, it is. And that
Somebody that stands with their principles,
there
basically.
you go. There it is. There it is. And so, like, if somebody has to continually question whether or not you're gonna be there for them, you know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Like, if they have to question, like, say for instance, we go back to the drive. Like, if I had to question whether or not you were gonna really be able to get, because I can imagine there were many times where I'd be like, man, I can't count. And I mean, he ain't gonna go in and go to sleep. I genuinely felt like you were gonna drive, even though I knew you were tired.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And to your earlier point, it would have cost you personally. You see what I'm saying? And so those are some of the characteristics that I think it takes when it comes to dependability. And so I feel like we need to get to a place in society where more people can depend on us, but
We can start to depend on each other.
we can start to depend on each other. And
But
go ahead.
well, I'll let you finish
No,
what
go
you were
ahead, go
saying.
ahead, go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's more than just what. Well, it's one of those trust is earned, not given, all that different type of stuff. It's not something that's like a snap your finger type thing. It's not we can all of a sudden just start trusting each other, but it really comes down to um on a interpersonal level or person to person or each person in themselves building up character, building up
Yep.
community,
Yep.
all of those things.
Yep.
So we develop the traits necessary to be trustworthy, and so that we can feel like we can depend on each other.
And
Which
it's funny because like, and it takes just the little things. It takes. I'll give you another because we're gonna get back to the whole pattern what
right,
you see. But I was went to pick up dinner again. Another thing like I know my parents on Friday they like dinner from this certain place.
right,
You know what I'm saying? And so every Friday they eat dinner from a certain place. And so in my mind, before I even went there, I knew on Friday, whatever I was doing, I was gonna position myself so that I can get dinner for them from that particular place. That's dependability. You know what I'm
hmm
saying? But when I was there, it was this guy that was talking to me. I'll put it like this: it was a Caucasian guy,
hmm
and he didn't have a mask on. I ain't had no problem with it. I had my mask on. But he was talking to me. And I mean, like, he was really genuinely carrying on a conversation with me that was not just I mean, it was not political in nature. It wasn't, it was two husbands standing at a restaurant on the outside, of course, standing
hmm
at the restaurant, picking up a meal.
right,
And so the way he started, it was funny. He was saying, "Yeah, my wife said she wanted me to pick up something to eat before I left town." Right? I was like, "Okay, cool." He said, "But of course she don't know what she want." Because I asked her what she want, and she said, "I don't know." She said, "So me and my," he said, "So me and my friends been getting together. We been saying," he said, "We gonna come up with a restaurant, and we gonna name the restaurant. I don't care."
uh huh,
And we're gonna fill the menus with I don't know. Because whenever you ask your spouse, and so that was the kind of conversation he carried on. And we talked back and forth, no judgment, nothing, right? And it's interesting because we're in the South.
right,
And so, that dynamic doesn't always exist in the South. And so it was no judgment zone. And so it just so happens that my order was done and I had a lot of food. So I had two big bags and I had drinks, right?
right,
And he was walking back to his truck in the same direction I was going. And he was like, "Hey man, it looked like you might need some help. Can I help you?" Now I said, "No, I don't need help," because I didn't need help. And not to mention you have a mask on. You know what I'm
uh-huh.
saying? But the thing was,
That was noble.
that was noble. And from the interaction that we had standing in line, I felt like I could depend on him
Right,
to grab that and bring it to my car for me.
hmm
And so it's stuff that is just that simple that we can start doing on a daily basis
right,
that people can start, people can start depending on us. Like we got neighbors, right? Like we speak to our neighbors.
hmm
We don't interact with our neighbors because it's COVID, but we do speak to our neighbors. And so like, I would want my neighbors to feel like they can depend on me. Like if a package comes and they're out of town,
right,
that can I grab the package for them? Yeah, I can grab the package for them. Yeah, I can put it in my garage for them. Yeah, I can wait. I would want my neighbors to depend on me
right.
from in that perspective. And I think, especially where we are in this day and time, that we need to start building up that trustworthiness so people can start looking to depend on us. And it's in each of our control
hmm
to do so.
To choose community.
Yeah, to choose community. Yeah.
Right, that's the thought I was having. It sounds like, I mean, it's one of those situations where you're making an active choice to choose community, to choose to look out for someone else.
Yep. Yep.
Um, and when people see that you care, I feel like that helps.
Yeah. You're right.
Honestly,
You're right. You're right.
About the small, like when you trust it in the small things, it moves towards being trusted with larger things.
There you go. There you go. Rule over was it? So he who has rule over a few things become rule over many.
Right.
Right. Um, he who much is given, much is required. That's something different. Like,
It's funny because that kind of goes even to the Joseph story as well.
okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Like when people see that you're trustworthy, that's where the influence comes
There
from.
you go. That's exactly what it was. That was the actual crux of that story. It's like, and no matter how it cost him personally, he
hmm
was not going to um do something bad for an immediate gain.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It was like, nah, nah. Like
It's.
honest, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, the people knew that he had their best interest at heart. And so any decision that he made, they trusted in him to have their best interest at heart through it. And so
He had
he had
integrity.
influence over
Yeah,
the
yeah, it is.
people.
There it is. There it is. I mean, he said like even when and if you don't know the story, it's on you. You can go read it. It's the story of Joseph. Right when he was in the temple, he had been given rule over this man's whole house,
Right.
and his wife wanted Joseph, and
Right.
Joseph was like, "Wait a minute, this man has given me everything over this in this house. Anything in this house I can have except you.
Mhm.
I'll just keep it at that."
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's integrity.
That's integrity. That's
So
integrity.
the character continued to show itself.
It did. It did. And so that was cool. So, dependability. We're on dependability.
I was just going to segue by saying, getting into character. Well, where were you going to go with
Go
it?
ahead. Go ahead.
You be looking at me confused
Go
sometimes.
ahead.
I was just going to segue it by saying, getting into the whole character side of that, and how do we work to develop that character,
Mhm.
and where does that character come from? Which kind of speaks to the conversation that I started with you earlier today.
Yes, that's where I was going. Go ahead.
Right.
All
That that we chose to save it for this,
Uh-huh.
but just talking about why I talk about my experience, exactly what I was talking
There
about.
you go. Go ahead.
Was us going down to see my grandparents, and I was telling him that me seeing the way he acts and plays his role as a son to his father, then goes forth to show me what the role of a son looks like for a father. How it's funny because we even talked about this in previous podcasts. How for so long it's father over son,
Mhm. Mhm.
and as son grows up, it should become more even,
Mhm.
and then eventually it can even be son to father,
Yes.
and so that there's equal opportunity and equal exchange and equal trust and equal all of these things. And that's something that I was able to see in practice by watching him with his father. And I was just saying that's the type of thing, seeing things in action helps to build that character within,
Yes.
because it showed me what that looked like. I didn't just hear it. And your actions align with your words when it comes to that. So I think that's what's important when it comes to raising somebody to have certain characteristics.
Yes. Yes. All that. All that. All that. So here's the thing. So I'm gonna dig deeper at that same point.
All right.
Because and this is why I told you it was important. Because you like as a father, you try to sow seed, right? You constantly sowing seed. Whenever you see the tip of the plant come through the soil, you rejoice, right? And so when you said that today, and you got on me, you was like, "Well, you didn't tell me how you felt about it." And I said, "But I said yes." Like that was in my mind, like that was the tip of the seed. I mean, the tip of the plant coming through the soil, because that was intentional for me. Okay, and let me explain to what I mean by that was intentional for me. So not the whole chicken coop thing was intentional, or anything from that perspective. But the thing I understand, and I've had this conversation before, not with you, but I've had this conversation. The thing that I understood was, you know what? I have a son, right? He's my only child, and if my son, if I want my son to know what I am going to need from him as I get older, I'm going to have to model that in what I do for my parents.
Right.
And that's why I make it a point to let you see what I'm doing for my parents. That's intentional. And so when you said it, that was like, oh my God, yes, he saw it and it's great. And again, it's not a play, it's not a ploy. What I do for my parents, I'm doing for my parents because I feel like this is the time in my life where I'm supposed to. Not only is it the time in my life where I'm supposed to, I am blessed to be able to. And that makes me feel great. Like you just don't know. Because it's one thing to have, to have somebody that needs to depend on you,
Right.
and you want them to depend on you, but you don't have the tools or the access to be able to be that person or to step into that moment. And so because I can step into that moment, I have the flexibility to step in that moment. I have the finances to step into that moment. I have the family that allows me to step in the moment. Those things alone allow me to do it. But I want to make sure that I model it in front of you as well, not just do it in private, because I want you to see what may be required of you, or may
Mhm.
be expected of you, or may be needed of you,
And what that looks like.
and what that looks like. Because on the flip side of the coin, T, think about it. If I would ignore my parent, right?
That's even kind of what I was gonna talk about.
Okay, go ahead. I'll let you have it then.
I was just gonna say because it wasn't a required role, it was a role that was stepped into.
Mhm.
And so, having the opportunity to see, I mean, even when you're just going back to that whole dependability part, is stepping into it,
Mhm.
even when it's not required of you. So seeing that really speaks to the role, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I would just hate to see the converse of that. I would hate for you to see me ignore my parent and then me have an expectation on you to help me out. You know what I'm saying?
Which this kind of goes into a song that you played for me. I can't remember the name of the song,
Uh-oh.
but it was like when he grows up, he wants to be just like his
Oh
dad. I
yes,
want to be
yes,
just like you.
yes. The Cat in the Cradle. The
Yes, the
cat's in the
cat in the
cradle,
cradle.
silver spoon. Little boy blue and the man on the moon. Yes, yes.
But it was even just talking about how he grew up seeing, or like he grew up with his father. His father's always working and that kind of thing, almost building up this kind of neglect within him, this feeling of neglect within the son. Then the son grows up, and now he no longer has time for the father, and kind of seeing how the actions and what is seen at a young age and all those things build up, and they don't just go away; they become almost foundational. I
Yeah,
don't know if that's the word,
yeah. No, you're right.
but it sets that trend. It builds that mentality inside of a person. And so the what is seen, what is felt, the example that is shown, is important over anything else, honestly.
And you're right. You're right. You're 100% right. And if any fathers out there, right? I implore you, especially if you have young children, to look up the song and just, I mean, you don't even got to listen to it. You can listen to it, or you can just read the lyrics. The song is by Harry Chaplin. I will plug it. The song is by Harry Chaplin, and it's called "Cats in the Cradle." And I can promise you, you heard it before. You might just never
It's
paid
funny
attention to
because
it.
it was just in a commercial. It's in one of these new commercials that's out.
Yeah, it's. I'm telling you, if you want to be the super father, right? If you want to be a super father, listen to the song because it'll tell you what not to do. It'll tell you what not to do because it actually is. It talked about a man who's trying to spend all his time providing, I guess, finances
Right.
for his family, but he wasn't providing the time for his family. And his kid was saying, "I'm gonna grow up to be just like you. I'm gonna grow up to be just like you." And then as the kid got older, he found out that the dad found out that he was just like him. He did the same neglect stuff. It was like,
Well, don't tell the whole song.
I mean, shoot the song, man. But I'm just saying, it speaks to what we're talking about as far as this is concerned. Like, I mean, I made it a point to spend time with you,
Right.
right? And it's so funny, man. Like, I love spending time with you, even though you don't like me, like that and stuff. But anyway,
It's true.
I know. But anyway, so no, but like even like the intellectual conversations that we have and stuff like that, it's like it's cool. It's cool. And the thing is, because we've always done it, you know what I'm saying? Even
Right.
back to when you were 3 years old, when you get your little backpack and we used to go for a walk around the neighborhood.
Right.
Like we've always done it.
It's foundational.
It's foundational. It's foundational. And so for you new fathers, you young fathers, you fathers with young kids, like it's foundational. You got to be intentional. You got to start building it now. And it's the thing that teaches dependability.
Right.
It's the thing. So like your child learns that they can depend on you to always
Right.
be there.
That's actually exactly what I was gonna say. You learn to be dependable off of seeing what someone that's dependable looks like.
Right.
So because that's what happens with a lot of people. They're not dependable because they didn't have anybody they could depend on.
And they don't know what it looks like.
Right.
They don't know what it looks like I've learned to look out for myself.
Right.
You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? And because nobody else looked out for me, I learned to look out for myself. And because I learned to look out for myself, don't look for me to do anything for you.
Right.
And so again,
And that's really prevalent nowadays.
yes. And so if we're
actually.
looking at a trend to change, if we're looking to start something somewhere, that's the thing that
Which
we
is
need
funny
to look
because that's anti-community.
at. It is anti-community.
Which kind of goes back to what
It
we
is
were talking about.
anti-community. It's anti-community. So that's I guess that gets down to the crux. Like dependability. Like learn to do the small things to help people to start looking at you and she is being trustworthy. Seeing you as being somebody that they can depend on. Now, I'm not telling you to become a mat so people can walk on you. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying you got to always say yes. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is there some people in your life that, you know, it would really mean a lot to them if they felt like they can depend on you.
Right.
Like T, it means a lot to me when I feel like I can depend on you. Like, it's funny, just like I was asking about the clothes, right? Like, did you put the clothes in the dryer?
Mhm.
Right? To feel like I could depend on you to put the clothes in the dryer is a big thing. That's a big thing. But it's something that we have to constantly work on. Because what happens sometimes, and you said it earlier, like, even if it costs me personally, you got to get to a point where you realize, okay, what I want, me personally right now, needs to take a back seat because I need to do something over here because I want people to be able to depend on me
For the greater good.
for the greater good. For the greater good. So, between that again, like I just I enjoy it so much. Like, you know, just to look on my dad's face was just like the world to me. You know what I'm saying? Like today, he was like, "Son, I want to thank you. I just want to thank you." Like, thank me for what, man? He said, "When I went out and looked at that chicken coop." You know what I'm saying? And it's
Right.
like, oh my God, that made my heart feel so good because it it was my dad looking at me like, "Dad, like, son, I can depend on you." You
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? Like I can depend on you. And so I do want to model that in front of you because again, in return, I want to be able to depend on you, not just now, but I want to be able to depend on you when the chips are down. Like you might like, and it's funny because I depend on you so much now for your knowledge, not even for your knowledge, like for your insight.
I was a perspective.
Yeah, your perspective. And you know, and like, you know, I come to you for your perspective sometimes. 'Cause I'm like, you know, I can be off base, man. Can you help me out?
Mhm.
And I can depend on you for that. And that's important. That's really important. And so, yeah, I mean, yeah, I can't say no more than that. I mean, that's what I wanted to talk about dependability, you know, just really dive into this whole word dependability and making sure that we're dependable. And I mean, you know, and like I know what I can come to you for.
Right.
I know what I can come to you for. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
I know that was it for me. I
yeah,
think the better cap in it.
so just I mean, think about it, man. Dependability, like having integrity, being trustworthy so that people can depend on you is something that you have to build up,
Mhm.
but you can't call it. Like you can't claim it. Like it's their perception of being able to depend on you. You can't tell somebody, well, you don't see me do X, Y, and Z, and you know
Right.
you can depend on me. Nah, they have to feel it.
Right.
They have to feel it. But when they do, like when they do, they'll let you know, oh my God, I'm so glad that I can depend on you. And
Mhm.
so we just need to start doing small things. I mean,
Yeah.
because we should want
It's
to be dependable.
it's about building up personal character,
Mm-hmm.
s- standing strong in your integrity, and looking to be a part of community.
Looking to be part of the community. As a parent, it's about training it up in our children,
Mm-hmm.
starting today. It's about modeling it
Right.
so that they can see it, not just hear it. Um, Yeah, yeah, and again, letting them know. Like I just said, T, I can depend on you and your insight. Letting them know. Let people know when you feel like you can depend on them
Mm-hmm.
because it does their heart good and it feeds their soul. And so, yeah, it's cool. It's cool. It's cool. It's
Mm-hmm.
cool. It's cool.
That was it for me, sir.
That's the view. So yeah, dependability. One podcast
On podcast
between you and me.
between you and me. Holla.
Holla.